How's it going, Rogues Gallery? Today we're going to open up and review all 6 of the brand new Shadowverse Evolve starter decks, talk about whether they are worth it for you, and we're also going to go over some sample meta decks, talk about the general playstyle of each of the crafts or the classes in the game, all of that good stuff, and just kind of like give you a good overview on Shadowverse Evolve. If you haven't seen my first video on the English release of Shadowverse Evolve, definitely go check it out. It was yesterday's video, and where we open up some booster boxes and just kind of talk about my general excitement of the game, which is very high. If you just want the quick TLDR on whether or not you should buy these, the answer is yes. Yes, you should, because each of these decks comes with cards unique to the starter decks, but they come in full playsets, so you only ever need to buy one of any given starter deck. So for example, the Sword starter deck, which is my personal favorite, comes with 3 Tsubakis, which is a staple for Swordcraft, which is my favorite craft, though I really love them all. But yeah, you just need to buy this deck, and it comes with 3 of these Tsubaki legendary cards. And they're great, and you can only get them in the starter deck. You can probably buy singles and stuff, but starter deck is just a really good way to get into Shadowverse Evolve, start playing, and get some meta-relevant cards. So let's dive into it more, open up every single one of these, talk about the deck playstyle. This is aggro, by the way. This is aggro. Talk about the deck playstyle and showcase some sample lists that were given to me by a good friend and content creator, Cosmic, who also is doing Shadowverse Evolve content. So go check him out. That's where we're getting all of these lists for. I think he pulled them from generally good performing lists from the Japanese meta, but let's do it. I'm really excited. All right, and here we have all 6 of the Shadowverse Evolve starter decks. And I'm going to reiterate this just in case you skip the beginning for whatever reason. I think these are worth it, especially if you plan on playing Shadowverse Evolve, because each of these come with exclusive cards to the starter decks. You can see little check marks here. These check marks are cards that only come in the starter deck. Plus you also need a leader to play. But not just that, they come in full playsets, so you only need 1 starter deck. You don't, of that type, right? You don't need like 2 of the Abyss deck to get a full playset of all the stuff. You just need 1, which is great. And so without further ado, let's start with my favorite. We're gonna start with a Swordcraft here. And I do also wanna mention, real quick, that this does come with a good number of, you know, like little accessories, you know, how to play, like little tokens, like cut cardboard tokens and all that kind of stuff. You do need like some sort of dice or token, but honestly, for keeping track of life and all of that stuff, there is an excellent app that you can use. And I would highly suggest using it. It is the Shadowverse Evolve SVE Sidekick app. And let's just say that I'm gonna be Sword, my opponent is Dragon, and we're gonna start game. Yeah, and it, like, you know, you can emote.
I will strike you down.
Yeah. And then you can keep track of, you know, life. You can keep track of your play points, begin turn, you know, end turn. Use this. This is great. It's free. It's like just one thing that I didn't realize that I thought is just super cool. So you have all this stuff to do that as well. If you don't have a good phone, or for whatever reason, you have all of the physical stuff here to do that. Though some of these are pretty useful, like the ward and all the little damage counters. I would just use colored dice, but you do have this stuff. We're not gonna go over this again. It's just something that comes with the deck. Though the little life counter is pretty useful. I actually have used it for other games. So let's get on with our Swordcraft deck. So what we're gonna do here, I think the way we're going to structure this is I'm gonna show you all the cards here, kind of talk about the playstyle of the deck, and then at the end, I'm just gonna pop up on screen a meta build for this. They're all gonna be either A tier or S tier viable decks. Sword is S tier, and it's also one of the cheapest decks to build. So the deck comes with 3 Tsubakis, a incredibly powerful card. It's a modal card. When it comes into play, you can either blow up a follower or give a Tsubaki Storm, which is really good. Latham's all right. He's just a 3/3 for 2. This is an aggro deck. If you like aggro strategies that swarm the board with dudes, this is for you. Floor Fencer is an incredible card. This is one of the promos, box toppers, but you can also find the normal version here in the starter deck, as well as the evolved version. Incredible card, another meta staple. We have the Moonlight Assassin, White General. I'm not going to go over all of the cards' mechanics individually, just kind of give you an idea of the flavor of the deck. We have the Quick Blader, which if you've played Shadowverse at all, you know Quick Blader is legit. It's just a 1/1 that can just, bam, immediately smack your opponent's face because it has Storm and it can also evolve. Great card. Only comes in the starter deck. So yeah, once again, this deck is all about aggro. Gabby's feeling hungry. It's all about minion unit-based aggro. So it has the main deck here. So this is your main deck. Then you also have your evolve deck. So here's your evolve deck. Your evolve deck consists of 10 cards. Once again, you can only have no more than 3 of any given card in the deck. So you have your 3 evolved Floor Fencers, Oathless Knights, and Quick Bladers, and your Gabby's Feeling Hungry. And then we also have your play points. You technically don't need these to play. You can use anything to represent your play points, but here you go. You can have them if you need them. You also have your leader, which you very much do actually need to play. You do need a leader card, so you do need to buy these, as well as a bunch of your super thick tokens. And that is the Erica Swordcraft deck. My favorite one. And we'll toss up the meta deck here. Once again, it is also an aggro style deck. One of the more affordable ones. Next up, let's do something that I would consider almost the opposite of Sword. This is Havencraft. Now, Havencraft is more of a control style deck, at least in this version of the game up until set 2. It's more control. As opposed to something like a combo, though it does kind of lean into combo as we progress in the history and the lifespan of Shadowverse Evolved, because we are 6 sets deep in the Japanese version, and so we already kind of know more or less what the meta is gonna look like. Not exactly the full meta though, but things can change, and us here in the West, we can reiterate or we can improve upon the formulas. Skullfane, really good. So once again, you always get a full playset of the legendary in the starter deck, and they're all like really, really good for the most part. Skullfane is a really good one. We have the Hair of Illusions, and like I said, this is more of a control deck. This is a great one. Priest of Cudgel, just a great old 2-for-1. And this, the deck, Haven, typically, it's control. You got a lot of board control, a lot of banish effects. You have amulets that also help you control the board. Amulets are kind of like enchantments from Magic. They just kind of sit on the board and they have an effect, whether it be, killing your opponent's dudes, drawing cards for you, and all of that kind of great stuff. Priest of the Cudgel, like I said, is quite good. In set 2, you start to get into the combo territory where you can control the board and then kind of combo off, which is what I'm really looking forward to. We have our 3 evolution points and then our leader, Eris. I do like Eris. She's cool. She used to have a giant Pope hat in the digital version, but I like her not giant Pope hat. And here is the meta relevant version of the deck. It is an amulet control style version of Havencraft, if you like the idea of like a slow controlling style deck. It does use some fairly expensive cards, including the Bellringer as well as Lucifer, so it is not on the cheap end. On the cheap end, let's take a look at Abysscraft, another one of my personal favorites. I actually really like Haven once we start getting into set 2 and we start getting like the Seraph combo decks, like with Aegis and Seraph, where you just kind of like try to stall the game until you can play like these unstoppable finishers. It's really, really fun. I'm a big fan of both Aegis and Seraph. Bloodcraft tends to focus on a more aggro strategy as well. Unlike Sword, Abysscraft leverages its life a lot more than anything else. It does have a mechanic where like it wants you to deal damage to yourself, and, you know, capitalize on that. Lots of storm units, just kind of like surprise burst damage. The Queen Vampire here is probably one of the worst of the legendary. She's still good, but she's not like super meta defining like Tsubaki is for sword, but still good. What is very good is the gold card that you get, Aagaard here, who he's just an absolute house, can do a ton of damage just out of nowhere. So Aagaard is a very, very good one, a card that actually commands a decent price tag outside of the deck. You also have stuff like your Playful Necromancer. For blood, or I shouldn't say blood, this is called Abysscraft now. For Abysscraft, you also have units that summon tokens in the form of bats, as well as ghosts, which are basically units that come into play. You can attack with them immediately, but then they disappear here. So yeah, this is aggro deck. It uses a lot of like little swarming minions, effects that deal damage to yourself, but also deal damage to your opponent, like Razor Claw here, 2 damage to yourself, but 3 to any enemy that you want. I do really like this strategy. I think it's a lot of fun, and I know it gets better in future sets. So it's pretty good in set 1. This is what I would call an A tier deck for the top meta version. And you know what? After we take a look at all the ghosts here, I'm coming for you. That's what they say in the digital version. After we take a look at that, let's take a look at the meta deck. It's an aggro Bloodcraft deck, and I would consider this an A tier deck. Once again, shout out to my friend Cosmic for putting all of these together. I didn't mention it, but the Havencraft deck that we just took a look at, the Control Haven, was also an A tier deck. All right, let's take a look at Rune next. This is probably my third favorite, kind of like, I don't want to say out of the box. Out of the box, it's definitely for me, I think it's going to be Sword, Dragon, Abyss, and then this. But for like top meta decks, this is like my second or third currently. It's hard to tell. I really very much like Dragon and Sword, but I'm not sure which one's like first and second, and all that kind of good stuff. But I do really like Runecraft. So what Runecraft is, it is a very spell-focused class. If you're like a spell slinger, you like, you know, slinging your spells, drawing cards, and then doing big combo turns. Rune also lends itself to a little bit more of a controlling strategy because it plays a lot of spells. It tends to be more controlling of the board, but also combo, like definitely combo. There's a couple ways to play it right now. There is one that's called, everyone calls it Dirt Rune, where you use Earthcraft, and then the other one that is D-Shift Combo. D-Shift Combo is the better of the two currently, and it is the deck we'll take a look at the end. It doesn't use stuff like this Mithril Golem, but we do see some stuff like the Runeblade Summoner get in there. Also, the Demon Flame Mage is very, very good. Only comes in this starter deck. Insight is also just really good. I would say, like I said, if you like spell slingy type stuff, if you like decks where you build up over time and then kind of combo off, but combo off in such a way where you like take extra turns, for example. That's what the D-Shift combo version is all about. You're taking extra turns and killing your opponent with big ol' minions as you take the extra turns. It is a very good deck. A-tier deck, borderline S-tier, quite good in my opinion. So here we have the Evolve. We have Isabel, one of the top tier Shadowverse waifus. She's just trying to get her husband back. And then we have all of the tokens. So yep, here is a version of the D-Shift combo deck. A-tier deck. Once again, I think it's very, very good. One of my favorites traditionally in Shadowverse. And in Shadowverse Evolve, I think it is also excellent. All right, next up, let's take a look at Forestcraft. I'll be honest, personally speaking, Forest is my least favorite, but I know people that are like absolute diehards of Forestcraft. Forestcraft tends to be more aggro combo, as opposed to like spell combo, control combo, though I guess Runecraft is also, you know, a little bit of control as well. But Forest is more like aggro combo, I would say. It's combo in that you play a whole bunch of cards in a turn, but it's aggro in that you win by attacking with your dudes, or just playing a lot of dudes, It's interesting. It's very interesting. There are people who really, really like their swordcraft or their forest craft, but I'll be honest, it's the one that I know the least about in Shadowverse Evolve. In regular Shadowverse, you'd play a deck called Roach, where you play a bunch of cards and pump up a card called Rhinoceroach, which is in the first set, and then give it Storm and just dome your opponent. But what Forest really likes to do is it likes to play a whole bunch of cards in a single turn, and you get rewarded for doing that through various effects. Our legendary here is Arya, Fairy Princess. Beautiful, beautiful card. We have the 3 of Titania's Sanctuary, which is a great amulet here. We have the Rose Gardener. A lot of the cards here will basically generate fairies, and then we'll use those fairies on turns where we want to play multiple cards. We actually have a mechanic called Combo. So not only is it a combo deck in, like, you know, hey, it's a combo deck in terms of, you know, theme, but it's also a combo deck in terms of literal mechanics, which is pretty good. Love the art though. Lots of elves, fairies. If you like the vibe, you'll dig it. Lots of folks really like Forest Craft. But yeah, if you like Storm and Magic, I think you'll like Forest Craft. Treant, Water Fairies, Goblin. Here we have our evolution points and the leader here, which is one of them. I mean, I guess these are all technically main characters for Shadowverse, but Orisa is one of like the main characters. And then you have a whole bunch of fairies. you just have an absolute army of fairies. And then we'll toss up one of the meta decks, still an A tier deck. And I'll be honest here, I don't know this deck as much, but it is still A tier viable, and you still want to, you know, play a lot of cards in your turn, take advantage of playing multiple things, and you know, leverage your powerful legendaries like your Rose Queen or Rose Princess or whatever it's called. And then last but not least, we have the Dragoncraft deck. My first favorite, it's close. This is what you would upgrade into an S tier deck. This is the other S tier deck after Sword. It is very powerful. This is the kind of deck, if you're the player, if you're a Timmy, right? If you know what that means for Magic, if you're the kind of player who likes to ramp your resources and then play big monsters that just do tons of damage, kill everything, or they're just really fast and can punch your opponent for a crap load of damage, that is Dragoncraft. However, unlike Sword, which Sword is one of the cheapest decks in the game, Dragoncraft is the opposite. So it's actually kind of funny. Dragoncraft and Sword are both the S tier decks. One of them is the cheapest deck, and the other one, Dragon, is the most expensive deck. The top meta deck for this is currently over $300, and that's because you run a lot of the expensive control cards that Haven also runs. All right, so we have Fafnir as our legendary. It's a really good card. 5 damage to each enemy follower on the field. So you play him, you get a giant 7/8 body, and he kills almost all of your opponent's dudes. And then you also get a 3 Dragon Oracle, which is an absolute staple. Every Dragoncraft deck will run these. They just for the next 6 sets and onward, you run Dragon Oracle. This is your ramp card. It is an incredible card. You want to get those. Dragon Warrior is great 2-for-1. We have the Dragon Newt Princess. Like a lot of these cards you will use, but it's mostly those first couple cards that you really, really want to get, and because they're just absolute meta staples. Fafnir can, you know, maybe see play here and there, but that Dragon Oracle is just an absolute staple. And this deck, like I said, great deck. This is going to be one of the better ones to upgrade, but it also is very, very expensive here. Here we have our play points and then our leader, Rowan. And then we have some dragons. What's really cool here is that since we only have a couple dragon tokens, you also get some blank tokens. I've seen some like really good anime artists doodle on these. I would love to get an anime artist to doodle on my blank tokens. That would be sweet. So yeah, let's toss up the ramp Dragoncraft meta deck. Like I said, this one is a very expensive deck. It is also one of the most powerful decks in the game, using cards like Forte, just a big beater who is also going to be super relevant throughout the entirety of Shadowverse, at least up to set 6 at least, as well as stuff like Lucifer, which is not going to be as relevant, but he's still like an expensive card. And there you have it. Those are the 6 Shadowverse Evolve starter decks. If you can find these for around 20 bucks, I think they're a good value, especially ones like Sword. That's going to be pretty easy to upgrade into a top meta deck that has cards that are going to be relevant for many, many sets to come. You're going to get your Tsubakis and you're going to play them for like the next 3 or 4 sets. The same is true for stuff like Dragon, playing with these Dragon Oracles, and even to like the Fafnirs to a lesser extent. They're just going to have a lot of staples, and also they're just a great way to get into the game and to learn how to play. Plus, you need the leaders. So thank you so much for watching. Please let me know what you think of Shadowverse Evolve in the comments down below. Let me know what other types of content you would like to see regarding Shadowverse Evolve. Definitely have some gameplay planned with friends. We have lots of fun stuff. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see ya next time.